go round. In the fantasy, what happened? Will it stop turning? Let's find out. Stealth QE for the banks. Rates need to stay high. Changing the CPI data, insist it ain't a lie. Misdirection by the media, keep everyone in line. Get yourself another loan, everything will be just fine. Oops, tax increase. Peasants, how do you feel? Cost of living still okay, or can't afford your meal? Oops, credit delinquencies reach for the sky. Don't you dare to stop and think that this cake might be. Just work 3 part-time jobs on benefits, try to make ends meet. You don't need a steady one to buy that mansion down the street. Some buy mortgages in a CD, or pension funds will gobble up. And when the housing market does implode, bailouts will hit like a truck. Oops, tax increase. Peasants, how do you feel? Cost of living still okay, or can't afford your meal? Oops, credit delinquencies reaching for the sky. Don't you dare to stop and think this cake might be a lie. Let's rationalize rampant shoplifting, make skin color a perk. Blocking our streets for climate change, people can't get to work. Endorse mostly peaceful protests, expecting shops to stay. Won't let you cry about the prices when they eventually move away. All the banks are safe and sound, nothing will go wrong. Jobs gotta looking mighty fine, economy holding strong. Stocks going up while producing less, putting on a show. All but 3 companies in the S&P, thanks for the carry, bro.
Dear. Hello. Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and we're going live again because, well, same reasons as yesterday really. I don't have a great deal to say. I did notice that there's a bunch of people looking at the current price action in Bitcoin and potentially thinking some things that are out of alignment with cycle theory. So what I wanted to do today is, wait, let's turn some things on. Turn this on, move over here. Alright, where's my chat? Here we go. Hello. Yeah, tinfoil hat camel. You can hear me, brother. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. Like I said, I wanted to preface this by saying, if you are new to cycles or new to the channel, okay, there is a whole range of stuff that I have gone above and beyond to try to make cycle trading available to everyone. If you don't want to spend any money, there's a tutorial in the playlist. There is I think it's on the landing page. I think if you just go to the channel, it's right there, how to trade cycles. So please go and familiarize yourself with that. If you want to spend some money, there's a PDF you can download. There's a website. You can get access to it for free for 2 weeks and just use all the info on there. That also comes with the indicator. There's so much stuff that we've put out there. I'm probably forgetting some more of it. But the point is, if you don't understand cycles, please do try to understand cycles. And then, hopefully, you'll be able to understand the content on the channel. So what I want to first of all do is run a couple of polls here and get the consensus view. I want to just see for interest, and for the replay crew, you can answer them as well in your own head and see how many you get right. So we're going to run a couple of polls, then we're going to look at some charts, discuss this current cycle action for Bitcoin, and then we'll do a Q&A and hang out, okay? I think that's what we're going to do. So if I can try to work out how to run a poll, let me change this to live chat. Let me change this. How do I do a poll? Does anyone know how to do a poll? I'm sure I've done it before. Here we go. Okay, start a poll. The first question I want you guys to answer is the current price action for Bitcoin a cycle low or a half cycle low? Okay, cycle low or half cycle low. I can only have yes or no, apparently. Wait. Oh, no, I can change this. Okay, good. Cycle low, half cycle low. Okay. So please answer this question. Are we currently at the cycle low for Bitcoin or a half cycle low for Bitcoin? I do think this will be pretty biased because I can see a lot of members in here and I know you guys know what's going on. But we'll see. I also want to run another poll here. If it let me do more than one at a time. No, it won't. Okay. Do I have to... Oh, I can end it manually. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. I still don't really know what I'm doing, as I'm sure you know. People are so over-leveraged, they lose their mind over small retracements. Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. In the meantime, thank you all for being here. I can see a lot of people saying they made the live stream. Good, good, good. %brain dead. Be nice to each other, okay? We've all been there once, okay? We've all been there once. We'll let this thing run for a couple more minutes. There's really not a great deal to do today, so we kind of just can chill out a bit, I think. Is it just a third angle violation? I don't think so. I don't think so. Camel, are you familiar with Visa and Stream Drama? No. And Steam? No, not at all. Take the red pill, sure. No worries, AJ. I'm listening to you for a year already. Do you think that little chop makes me nervous now? No, I hope not. I hope not. I'm sure you're fine. So is this a half cycle low or is this a cycle low? We'll let this run for like another, I don't know, 20 seconds and then we'll move on. What is P-die? Due for a 106-day cycle low? That's a good point. I haven't... We'll quickly look at that. Where's my 106-day count? Down here. I don't know. This inversion kind of threw it out a bit. For anyone that doesn't know, the 106-day count is kind of an experimental count, so that's all that is. But maybe if we were to grab this and this and this and align it with the inversion, then yeah, look, we're right there, right? So, okay, anyway, that's that. Right, let's end this poll. And I want to ask a couple more questions. So the results are in. 20% of you think that this is a cycle low, not a half cycle low. So that tells me that about 20% of you need to do some research, need to go and watch the tutorial or do anything you can to understand the rules, because this is, as 80% of you fully understand, this is a half cycle low. Okay, so now just for the sake of entertainment, I want to run one more poll here and ask, what are we going to ask? Does it matter if this half cycle low fails? Yes. No. Okay, let me know what you think about this one. You clicked cycle low by accident. That's okay, I forgive you, Damien. Okay, you believe we go down for 2 weeks, full moon, change, start, go. Yeah, okay. Maybe, who knows? Yeah, maybe who knows is correct, right? No one really knows. I'm going to try not to say anything about this poll because I don't want anyone to change their answer. Answer what you think. Does it actually matter if this fails or not? Does it imply anything? Does it matter? Do we care? Should we care? Should we be entertaining any kind of other scenarios? What do you think? And don't worry about getting it right or wrong, right? It's all anonymous anyway. We're all friends here, okay? This is just a bit of entertainment because there's nothing else to talk about today. Enjoying a cold coffee? No, I'm not. I've got a Lucozade Sport with creatine in it. That's why I was shaking it. Green by market open. Yeah, maybe. Right, we'll see. We'll see. How's the wife and brewing baby? Wife just sleeps in front of a fan all day. And the baby's still not here. Your wife is pregnant. Congratulations, baby due September. Congratulations. Does my wife try and get you to talk to the baby? You play Mozart. No, we didn't do any of that, really. Maybe we should have. But no. Going to the moon. Okay, if you haven't answered the poll, you've got 30 seconds to answer the poll. And then we will discuss these results. It's not time to start fading cycles. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. Maybe because we're late in the 4-year cycle. Thank you for the £5, brother. Am I taking any different action as a result of the likely UK CGT changes? Not really. I think they just bumped it up by a few percent, as far as I'm aware. And isn't it effective already? Unless they've changed it again and I don't know about it, in which case that really hurts my heart and my soul. But as far as I'm aware, they announced the change so that the higher rate, if you're a higher rate earner, you have to pay 24% capital gains tax. And as far as I'm aware, there was no getting out of that. And I think they also either reduced the personal allowance from 6k to 3k, and then I think it goes to 0 next year, if I'm not mistaken. But to be honest, it's kind of too late. Like, what am I going to do? Not sell my Bitcoin? I just have to pay the tax, right? We kind of went on a bit of a tax rant yesterday. So, yeah, I don't know. Right, let's end this poll. Let's end this poll. So does it matter if the half cycle low fails? 70% of you said no. Excuse me. And you would be correct. You would be absolutely correct. It does not really matter if this half cycle low fails. Okay, it's just a half cycle low. It doesn't really imply anything. It could imply that that's a left translation and we're going to head down into the next cycle low. And it could also imply that we're just going to chop around a bit and then blast off and ultimately form a right translated cycle. So it doesn't actually matter, right? And well done to 70% of you that fully understand that. For the other 30%, I say this out of love, perhaps revisit the tutorial video or buy the PDF or go on the website and slurp the information on there for 2 weeks for free and then cancel if you don't like the rest of it or you don't want the indicator or anything like that. So, you know, there's no excuses, right? Put in a little bit of work and it will make your life a lot easier, because if you're one of those 30% that thinks this matters, then you're probably stressing right now when you don't need to stress, yeah? So you could probably increase your quality of life, if nothing else, and your overall understanding of how to read a chart by simply knowing that we don't have to stress or sweat this move, yeah? So hopefully that kind of illustrates a point that most people, and I know this is a bit biased because this is the Camel Crew that are dedicated to the craft and are in the live stream, and many of you are members, and I appreciate that, and I love to see this, and I love to see the community we're building, so we're going to keep crushing it, right? But if you're not in that group of people that got both of those very, very simple questions correct, then please go and understand how to actually read these charts, right? How to understand the parameters of cycle theory. So with that said, let's ask one more poll, okay? Let's ask one more poll. We'll make this one slightly harder. So I want you to, for this one, assume that the cycle, this half cycle low has failed. Wait, how am I going to frame this question? I've frozen. My mind stopped working. I've gone blank. What's wrong with me? Half cycle low. I don't know what I was going to ask. It will come back to me in a minute. What was I just saying? Oh, I'm so sorry. This is subpar, isn't it? This is subpar live streaming. Does the indicator pick a low on XRP? Yeah. Or has it picked the low? Let's look at XRP. Do we need to look at XRP? It's coming into the timing window, I think, isn't it? So this is probably working on a cycle low right now as we speak. Oh, and the indicator update is ready to go. I'm not going to do it now because if I do, then it will take a while to load and it will make this stream even more jank. So I'll update it afterwards. But if you haven't clicked the refresh button on your indicator, do that. And there's a whole heap of new settings and configurations and all that kind of thing you can add. I remembered what my question was. Okay, so if we assume this is a cycle low in here, right? Is the current action failed or within tolerance? There you go. Sorry about my slow brain this morning. Stunned by people not getting the questions correct, yeah. Something like that. Okay, so answer this one, let me know what you think, right? If this price action right here was a cycle low, did it fail or is it still within the tolerance for a half cycle low? Why are people so obsessed with XRP? I don't know. I think because it has the most channels dedicated to it being some kind of world reserve asset or a bridge currency or the CBDC bridge or I don't know. But I noticed I think at least based on my observation, there's way more channels that are dedicated exclusively to XRP than to any other currencies, any other altcoins at least. Three possible answers. We don't need three possible answers. Right, so answer that poll and then we'll actually talk about what's going on here. Are there any plans to make the indicator available for purchase with crypto or Apple Pay? No, I don't think so, not yet. It's been really difficult to go through all the KYC and accept the payments anyway because of the nature of the product, because it's sort of trading related. So there's been like loads and loads and loads of documentation and anti-money laundering stuff and all of this kind of thing. So it's already been very, very complicated and difficult to prove that it's a legitimate product, right? Like anything with any kind of finance relation or trading stuff is heavily scrutinized. So you really have to go through all of these hoops. You have to jump through so many hoops just to prove that you're not some kind of money laundering company or some kind of crypto scam or whatever it is. That's already been challenging enough. And I think if we add crypto payments right away, it's going to be even more complicated. So never say never, right? Later in life, I think perhaps when regulations are a bit more, what's the word? Accommodating, then I think we probably will. But for now, it just seems like it's more hassle than it's worth. Dip was nice for a cheap buy. Yep. All right, we're going to end this poll and move on because I'm sure you guys are probably falling asleep. So 95% of you said within tolerance. And you would be absolutely correct. If we measure from this cycle low right here, if I can, if it will let me. Here you go. No? Okay. If we measure from this cycle low right here, okay, that was perfect day 30 on the 22nd. And right now we are on what? Day 33. So plus or minus 10%, of course, is plus or minus 3 days. So it could easily be that we have done 2 drives into this low. 1, 2, this is day 33, and now we're just going to come blasting out of here. So this, of course, does not matter, right? Even if we fail, there's nothing to say that we couldn't do this. Half cycle low, chop around, blast off, cycle low, go, right? Anything and everything is on the table. But it seems like the majority of you knew that already. So again, if anyone is sort of unfamiliar with this, you can very quickly and easily learn this by watching a 17-minute video. The other thing to say here is, I wonder if that is the half cycle low, because again, if it is, and it's just printed on day 33 instead of on day 30, well, then it implies we're probably going to do this, right? And the cycle low's going to form higher up as expected. And then ultimately, will anything be different at all? I don't think so personally, right? I think we'll be well on our way to doing this again, another daily cycle low later in life. And then maybe even that classic, oops, left translation and failure into the weekly cycle low. Right? Would that make sense? I think so. Nasty correction. And then we get to find out if there's another weekly cycle of upside. That weekly cycle may well left translate into the end of the year. That will give us our ultimate top and then bear market. So really nothing is out of the ordinary, right? And I see a lot of people kind of panicking about this. And again, I think it's just a case of kind of sitting back and chilling, okay? Let this thing do what it's going to do. And again, we know already that it's not really anything to be too concerned about for now. And particularly if this thing ends up being a big wick followed by a big green candle, then we just mark this as the half cycle low on day 33. No problem anywhere. So hopefully that clears that up, because I could see my my Twitter notifications and my YouTube comments absolutely going haywire about the idea that it was another bad call, or it's a failed cycle, or that's it, the top for the Bitcoin bull market is in. And I really just wanted to kind of make this to say, I don't think any of that is true for now, okay? I think this is normal and to be expected. As ever, we can touch grass, wait for a daily close, wait for a couple more candles after that daily close, and everything should be okay. Clear as mud. Good. So next cycle low could go deeper than the half cycle low and still be bullish. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. That's normal and to be expected. And the main reason I don't trade half cycle lows, although you can treat them the same way. If we get a swing here and a big green candle, then you can structure a trade around that. You can be long with a stop below the half cycle low and target, higher prices. You could have a trade structured like this. There's nothing wrong with that. But the reason I tend not to trade the half cycle lows is because it's quite common to see a half cycle low do this and then come down and undercut that half cycle low into the cycle low. And then we get this kind of shape, right translation, pull back, undercut the half cycle low, and go. That's pretty normal. Now, of course, because this is normal, it means you have to treat any half cycle low long trade slightly differently. It means you have to be ready to exit this much quicker than you otherwise would, right? This trade for the cycle low, we can just stay long for a while. The next daily cycle low should be higher, so we can stay long through that, wait for it to push off, add another trade if you want to, move the stop up from here to under wherever this low forms. All of that's like normal stuff, right? You've probably seen me do that dozens of times, I would think, maybe more if you remember. And if you're going to play the half cycle low bounce, again, we just have to be aware that either you're going to get stopped out for pushing the trade, or you're going to need to be quite lucky and see the cycle low form higher, or better yet, I would say if you do take a trade like this, you probably want to use a trend line and cut the position towards 2/3 to 3/4 of the cycle being done, and then look to rebuy lower. But because it's not really my style to be in, out, shake it all about all the time, like I said, I tend not to play the half cycle lows. And the main reason for that is I like to set my stop and let my stop do the worrying, push the trade, right? That's my style. It doesn't mean it's right. It's just that's what works for me. That's what yields the best results. And so it doesn't really lend itself to playing half cycle low bounces here, trying to cut the trade. I think if we did that as well, I would say maybe you're going to have a problem in getting your risk reward, right? That's not really, not really there. Okay. And this would still be a pretty good move to 130. Pull back and go. I don't know. I know some people like to play the half cycle low bounces, and I know some people are using the indicator to go down to the 4-hour time frame and play the bounces from in here. So when it loads, there you go. So I know people are liking to play these a lot, which means once this confirms, the 4-hour cycle low will be marked, and you can structure a trade around there and then look to exit again ahead of that daily cycle low if you're more of an in and out trader. But to each their own, right? There's no right or wrong way of doing it. So long as you keep the risk managed and stick to your system, whatever your system is, then everything is okay. Whilst we're here, should we run through some charts? S&P still pushing up, isn't it? So I don't know. I don't think we're going to get a cycle low. And this has got high confidence at the moment, at least. It can change. But at the moment, it's got high confidence that this is going to continue higher. The VIX, I saw a 14 handle yesterday. It was only just, but it was a 14 handle. So that's that. The gold price is still behaving as expected on its way to that cycle low, isn't it? And then, yeah, what else is there to say, right? Everything's pretty straightforward. So I think what we'll do now is I'll hop into some comments and take some questions. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've got any questions. Your kids launder money all the time. Many people tend to overestimate those dips as major trend shifts, but in reality they aren't. Yeah, you're right, because we're just making higher highs and higher lows. So everything's fine. Maybe some of you are right when you say Bitcoin isn't going over 140k. You could be. Yeah, you absolutely could be. Maybe it doesn't go over 140k. I know there's some big accounts calling for like 130 to be the top. But then they were also calling for Bitcoin never to make a new all-time high and to only get like a retrace in here and publicly dump the Bitcoin stack in here. So I don't know, right? But we all get things wrong. Like I was calling for this to be potentially a left translated top. I was calling for this to kind of break out and top left translated, and it didn't. So who knows, really? Who knows? One day at a time. That's all we can do. You think the updated indicator messed up gold cycle count marks? I don't think so. I hope not. I approved it yesterday and it looked flawless to me. So make sure you got the right ticker and it's optimized. Yeah, we improved it. We improved it. Yeah, we definitely did. The count I approved yesterday is better than this one, so, I hope it hasn't messed it up too much. If it has, I'll report it to the team and we'll fix it. It won't take long. You can't write today, Bull Bear. I didn't see. Might be doing a Riot chart. If there's anything to say on it, I don't think there is. Riot should be on its way to a cycle low. But I mean, don't bet against a trend that just wants to keep ripping, right? This is the challenge, isn't it? We have to just sit back and let the market do what it's going to do. We have no idea. But if this is going to be one of those stocks that does 10x, then I definitely want to be there for that. You know, stay zoomed out, use the trend lines, look for failed cycles. Until failed cycles show up, there's no trend change. So long and strong. And yes, we are going to have to weather some volatility, as we always do. But that's part of the game, right? You have to be willing to give back large chunks of open profit in order to stay on trend for the big moves. But so far, this looks good to me. I got no qualms with this. I've got a big bag that is held from the 4-year cycle low and that we added in here during the tariff tantrum. And I'm looking to unload the entire thing somewhere up in this neighborhood. And that's around a double from where we are, potentially. And it's not, I don't know, it seems too good to be true. But for all we know, something like this is coming. And I mean, goodness, right? If that's actually possible, and I don't know that it is, I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just saying if it's possible, then we want to be there for that, right? So it really is a case of not doing too much. You have to sit back and let these things ride and see what the market will give you. You said you would show the back-engineered risk chart today. No, I didn't. I will text him now. I'll text him now and get him to send it to me, and we'll do it tomorrow. Wait a sec. Can I have a risk metric chart, please? Okay, text message sent. I'll show it tomorrow. The spoiler for that chart, by the way, is that the risk metric suggests there's way higher to go before we even get to some risky areas. Which is nice. I'd rather it that way around. Silver trade soon. Do I play the miners? Yeah, we've been playing the miners in the level 3 members section. We bought loads of them. Absolutely loads. I think 13. I think I bought 10 individual stocks plus GDX, GDXJ, and SILJ. And we did that all. You can see my yellow squiggle. So I made members videos back here and said there's a big buying opportunity at this weekly cycle low. And you can see I've left a squiggle here because I'm so proud of it. It was ages ago, but we absolutely nailed that. I drew these ellipses, these red ones on the chart, and said that's where the window is for the cycle low. And then we got there, and like I said, we added about 10 individual stocks and these miners, these ETFs. And since then, they all kind of look like this. So happy days. We continue to trade them on the way up. Like we've got a couple of positions in SILJ. We've been trading the gold on the way up as well. I think we have been trading silver and some other stuff at times. Oh, I think we had a position from here, but then during this big spill, we had to cut it, which was a bit unfortunate. But so we ended up getting a little bit of profit locked in there. But ultimately, we would have got stopped out and had a loss. And then it just didn't look right to get back in. So we played SILJ instead. Newmont's one of those ones we've had since that weekly cycle low, so that's been doing well as well. You can see they pretty much all look like this. And hopefully, what I'm hoping for is that we've got one final weekly cycle on top of this, right? Weekly cycle low, weekly cycle low. So maybe what we can get if we're lucky, is like another one of these. Although hopefully less of a correction and more upside. Something like this from here, right? Weekly cycle low, boom. And then, oh, I should have said, I forgot the main point. And then once we get here, I'll be thinking about dumping pretty much all of it, waiting for a whopping great correction, and then buying it all back at the half cycle low for gold in the 8-year cycle, aka the 4-year cycle low, somewhere down here. So that's the game plan. If you're underexposed, then I would say probably put your focus on that 26 cycle low. You know, this half cycle low in the 8-year cycle. That's this one here. That's what I would think. Plenty of opportunity. Plenty of opportunity. And I think the moves they're going to make out of that 4-year cycle low are going to be astronomical compared to the moves that we've seen already. Next stop, 136k, something like that. I think we can go to 150. I really do. I don't see why not. Gold's count shows us 47 to 56 days after update the indicator just a few minutes ago. Not sure if anyone else. Okay. Oh, let's update it. Go on then. Let's have a look. I hope it's not bugging because we changed this yesterday. Okay, we got weekly cycles. The weekly cycles look better, for sure. But yeah, you are right. These cycles are double the length, aren't they? Okay. I will, I'll get Ben to sort this out. Okay. Alright, yeah, I can see what's happened. So we went from having half of the weekly cycle lows. So we went from this to this to this when it should have been one in the middle, one in the middle, one in the middle. There's the next one, one in the middle. And for some reason it has carried, it's doubled the amount of weekly cycles, which is right, but then it's extended each one of these cycles. So I'm not sure about that. I'll tell you what you can do in the meantime. You can try going to here, adjusting the count. So turn this custom count on, put GDX or GDXJ or SILJ on, and then click OK, and it will probably grab hold of some cycles for you. You might be able to fine tune it that way. Another way you can possibly get around it until we update it. It won't take long to update. I suspect we can get this done in a day or two. But I would also think you can do a custom count and then change some of the settings for the counts in here. So you can change this adjustment factor, and it will you'll probably be able to get around it that way. But I'm sure Ben's probably going to watch this anyways. But like I said, I'll make sure I get him to update that. If there's anything else as well, let us know and we'll get it fixed. There's also a place on the indicator, on the website in the members area where you can report things like that and get it added to a list of priorities, and it will all get sorted. Can I talk about SILJ? Hang on a minute. Yeah, there's not much to say really. Let's do SILJ quickly because that's easy. SILJ is here. Long and strong, right? What else is there to say? Long and strong. Oh, also in the update, we've made it so that you can turn off all the icons and stuff like that and strip it back if you so desire. Because I know a bunch of people wanted that just to have it a cleaner, less messy chart. So you can do that as well. I lost my place. Please can I explain? No, what was this one? Yeah, I think it can be a short squeeze on Riot. It's egging on for sure. Some big account. Yeah, I don't know. Long and strong, man. Long and strong. Don't worry about it for now. Don't think crypto stocks will have a little dip when the market's open today. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Probably because, well, I don't know. You can probably see on the, yeah, a little dip for Riot, a little dip for MSTR, a little dip for Coinbase. Yeah, it looks like it. All the Bitcoin charts in the daily cycle low window right now, apart from Bitstamp. What do you think? Bitstamp is the one I use, so ignore the rest. The fact that miners have not seen their big move yet suggests Bitcoin is not really done yet. Although they don't have to run together, right? Like people can just bid these up because they want to. Mara filed. Yeah, I know, dilution. I don't take dilution into account, but I guess the market is initially not going to like it. Yeah, and then maybe we'll continue. We may have topped already. Aussie 300k, don't call it. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Do we hit 150k before the next daily cycle low? I don't know. We should do. I really think we ought to. It could take... Wait, how many is that? 1, 2... It might take another daily cycle to hit 150k. That would be okay. With me, at least. Yep, live again, Crispy. When are you integrating yellow squiggle? I don't know. I don't know. We'll get there eventually, right? Late half cycle low, possibly. Yeah. I mean, it's not really late. It's just that they're outside of the window, isn't it? The drop doesn't fit in unless we start left translating. I don't know. We'll see. There's no way of knowing, right? The thing is, there's no point in trying to guess. We just, like, the market will show us. In a few days' time, we will know. It will either have trended down, and we go, okay, now we target the cycle low. Or we have a big green candle, and we go, okay, long and strong. So I don't think there's no real reason to worry about it. When will additional merch hit the shelves? I don't know. No real desire to sell any more merch. Why? What sort of merch do you want? I've been meaning to do a yellow squiggle. Like a really subtle, if you know one. Just literally like a yellow squiggle. Like this. We'll put that somewhere. And no one will know unless you're part of the Camel Crew. Golden Cross on Riot. Yeah, okay. Any updates on aliens? Nah, not really. Not really. People tag me and stuff all the time, but I don't really see any huge progress in terms of disclosure or evidence or anything like that. I have not heard of the youngest rabbi. No. $16 resistance line needs to break before we rip. For what? Oh, for Riot. Okay. Sell when you're in profit and happy. Yeah, that's true. Everyone should have their own strategy. It's also true. Yellow squiggle match. Yeah. One up and one down, maybe. I think it would actually be cool if I could take a yellow squiggle as well. One that's like a legitimate one that I've already drawn somewhere on Bitcoin. So I might go back through the Twitter profile and see if we can get one. You'll buy a yellow squiggle. Yeah, I've had a lot of people ask for it. The thing is, though, people often ask me for merch. They're like, oh, if you do this, then I'll buy it. And then I do it, and they don't buy it. I just waste my time. So, yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, the strategy is not to sell merch, is it? It's to try to find the top and then reallocate at the 4-year cycle low and hopefully get some people out of the reset. There's a trend line for gold, 24. If it breaks that, is that a clue to the daily cycle low being lower than the last one? I think we got good 3 angles on gold, haven't we? I'm sure I put them somewhere there. 1, 2, 3. Clinging on, just. So maybe we violate it into the cycle low and then go. But if we're going to do this or this, we've really got to get going pretty soon. Otherwise, we're going to have to scratch this one off and say it's not happening, I think. But for now, it's still holding this, isn't it? And if it forms a daily cycle low and then rips higher, we can always just encompass the lowest low. That's legal as well. But for now, we're in, right? It's not. There's no breakdown just yet. Can I comment on the ETH chart? Yeah, since that was the first comment my eye was drawn to. I mean, what is there to say? Pretty bullish so far, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC 2, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, or 3, 4. I think it probably has to correct, and then it can go again if it's going to go. And then the real question is how high? Is it kind of lackluster? Does it underperform Bitcoin, or are the 15K bros correct? Stocks base case squiggle. No changes. UK CGT expected to increase in November to align with income tax. 45%. Are you joking? Is that actually happening? I thought they had only just changed it. That cannot be true. Are you sure that's right? Oh man, am I gonna have to leave the UK? Oh, don't ruin my day, DB. What are you doing to me? What are you? Oops. This is what I thought. Profits from selling are subject to 18 to 24%, depending on your income. Maybe subject to income tax. Yeah. So that's not on the spot Bitcoin. That would be if you're like a trader, I guess. But then that's already true. It's already true. You have to pay that much if you're a professional trader. Tax-free allowances, $3,000. Yep. Down from 6, and it goes to 0 next year. And what about November? Is that what you're confusing? Is it? I don't think it's CGT is in line with income tax, is it? You're gonna give me a heart attack or a stroke, man. You've increased my blood pressure. Yeah, I think maybe check that, DB. I think maybe check that. Income tax is already like that, but I don't think. And if it's just a news headline that you read that in, then they perpetually are doing that. Probably just to discourage people from buying crypto or something. I don't know. Have a look into that. I'm pretty sure my accountant would have told me by now. I hope he would have anyway. Is there any way you can see a cycle top for XRP? Why do people give such widespread? Because nobody knows, right? But they do the same widespread for Bitcoin, right? Some people have got a target of 125 to 130k, and other people have got a target of like 500,000. There's plenty of people targeting $250,000 to 300. You know, like it's a huge spread. We're talking about the difference between 2-3x in Bitcoin, in Bitcoin's price top, which is roughly the same as 6 to 20, right? 3x, 18. So I don't know. What's my opinion on the top price for XRP? I have no idea. I have literally no idea. There's no way I could know. I mean, how can you possibly look at this and say I know where the price is going? And I know you can pull fibs and maybe they work, but then maybe they don't either, you know? So I mean, this is just this chart in and of itself is extremely weird, right? It just kind of pumps for no reason. Like it does nothing, then it explodes, does nothing, explodes, does absolutely nothing for ages, right? Arguably it pops here or here. Again, it's just a really weird chart, isn't it? Like, how do you get an edge on this chart? It just does nothing and then it pops for no reason, really, seemingly. So is that coming again? I don't know. But that is the point. I literally, like, how could anyone know, right? It seems like a pretty reasonable $8 to $10 region seems, if it's going to do it, I don't know. But I mean, it could top at 4 and then just roll over and die and do nothing again for years on end. And I see a lot of people that are talking about huge numbers, which of course is probably very exciting for people that have been buying at 20 cents or whatever. Of course it is. But what's the market cap up here? Would it flip Bitcoin if it was at $40? I think it might. I don't know. But, and then there's all these people that have like $1,000 or $500 targets. And is this market really going to make it to a quadrillion market cap? I don't think so. Is it going to make it to hundreds of trillions? Probably not. Even tens of trillions? Probably not. So to me, like 3 figures is totally off the table. Even like $50 is, I think, bananas. And I think a lot of people really like that idea just because that would make a lot of people extremely wealthy. But again, like market cap is a thing, you know, we can't just have this asset overtake gold's market cap. It just doesn't seem reasonable. It doesn't seem like that's the smart bet. And I know that a lot of those XRP channels are always talking about $100 being cheap and $1,000 being guaranteed and eventually being, you know, the same price as Bitcoin. But you got to think, like, the market cap matters. It does matter, right? So I think $8 to $10 would be pretty reasonable. I think 20 would be like the most extreme I could see this thing moving. And even then, I still think we're going to have real problems with market cap and stuff like that. So, I mean, you can tell, right? I have absolutely no idea, as I've said a million times, but no one really does. You know, people just pull numbers out, out of wherever they pull them. So I guess it's just a case of trying to see if it does another one of these squeezes, and then you got to at least unload some, I would think. I don't know how else you can handle this. Check out SAS pension to hold on chain within the tax wrapper. Okay. But is it free from CGT only until you then withdraw it as income and then you have to pay 50%? Because that's like the SIPs and the pensions, right? It's the same. This is what I was talking to my mate about this. Like, there's no hiding from it. You can use the tax wrappers or the ISAs or pension accounts or whatever, but the moment you say to yourself, oh, okay, I've made a bunch of wealth on paper, I want to pay it to myself, then you have to pay income tax, which is 50%, unless you're taking less than 50k a year. So it just kind of like, I don't know, it's just weird. It's just weird. It's like they only seem like tax wrappers until you actually want to spend the money, you know? And the way my business is structured at the moment is I pay myself like a tiny amount of money and then I take the rest in dividends, because then I can pay way less money, way less tax on taking dividends. But the only real way to not pay the tax is to not spend it. And then there's another trick you can do where you build a parent company on top and have the child company buy assets for the parent company. And then again, you get rich on paper, right? But like, you don't have any cash. And as soon as you want to sell those assets to actually have cash and go and spend it on a holiday or your family, then you have to pay 50% tax again. So there's kind of like no way around it as far as I'm aware. Like, there's ways around it if you only care about getting rich on paper. But if you actually want the money in your hand to go and buy stuff with, I think you just have to pay it. Why every crypto influencer is setting their top targets so low right now? I don't know. I to be honest, in my experience, through doing this every day and, you know, being wired into Twitter and all of that kind of thing, most people have had very lackluster targets this entire cycle. Like, I remember it was only kind of back here. There was a lot of people saying that Bitcoin was going to make a lower high and that this cycle would all just be a retrace, right? There was a lot of people saying that. And then a lot of people said it was impossible to make all-time high before the halving. They aped in here, got wrecked. And then in here, I saw lots of people saying that's it. Like, that was the top, marginal higher high or triple top or whatever you want to call it. And in here, people saying it will never make it to 100k. It's going to need 2 more cycles. Like, I remember, because I was one of the few people saying that this thing's going to break out. I say one of the few people. There was lots of people. But I remember getting a lot of pushback in my comments. People were like, no way. You know, 74k, we did really well to even get there, and it's never going to go higher, and all this kind of thing. And then this happened, and everyone was like, okay, like 110, whatever, like maybe 120, maybe 120 if we're super, super, super lucky, but also maybe not, right? It's just really weird. It's just really, really weird. And now they're kind of talking like maybe 130, maybe 150. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I got to go and deal with something. Sorry about that. I'm back. I don't know what I was talking about, but I think overall people have not been super bullish. They've been lower in the targets and maybe 120, maybe 150. And I've also noticed that whenever I show a chart from Gert Gert has been calling for 250 to 300k the entire time, and so many people have been writing comments like, "Oh, this guy's delusional. He thinks 300k is on the table." And I mean, maybe that is delusion. Maybe we're not going to get anywhere close. Maybe that is the top. You never know. But in my experience, I think so many people back in this cycle, once we did this final leg, were expecting and calling 300k, and then it only just made a marginal higher high. It's almost like they've got PTSD from back in these days, you know? And I think a lot of people, therefore, are kind of scared to call for 300k now because, you know, they got so badly burnt back here. And I remember in this neighborhood as well, a lot of people were like, "Oh, here comes alt season. Here comes a massive giant alt season." And it just didn't come, you know? And so now they're kind of like, I don't know, there's just kind of once bitten, twice shy, I think is what's going on. And now people don't really want to call for 300k because, like I said, they've got PTSD from back here. So maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. We don't know yet, right? But we'll figure it out. We always do. I've lost my chat. Here it is. Who just became a member? Oh, member for 12 months. You just realised you've been subbed for 12 months and never said a word. Thank you, brother. Greetings, humans. Best of luck becoming a dad. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Did I miss some other stuff up here? Wait, Cobra coming in with €5. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I hope you're doing good. ETH is in the window for a daily cycle low. You said you think it would consolidate for some time before running. Does that mean the daily cycle low it's trying to make will fail? Not necessarily, no. No, not necessarily. It could go sideways. And I think that's us caught up. Good. Did I unmute my mic? Yeah, okay. I still don't know what I'm doing, man. I'm still like the jankest streamer. So yeah, okay. How long have we been running for? Almost an hour. We'll stay for about 10 more minutes. Yeah, let's move to Dubai. I don't know. It's too hot there. My wife's too pale for that. Also, the no crime thing is a real double-edged sword, right? They got no crime, but that's because they've got the most tyrannical system ever. And I don't know about that. I don't like the idea that you could just get a tap on the shoulder one day, like, "Come with me, sir." You get no rights. None whatsoever, you know. I don't know. It's not for me. What's your take on the CTM guy, Jake? Do you mean Jordan? Do you mean Jordan? From Conquering the Markets? I think you mean Jordan. And I have a huge amount of respect for Jordan. The only thing is, he's saying the same thing as me, to be honest. He is saying the same thing as me. It's just he doesn't recognize the timing cycles that I use. But if we go to this chart, Bitcoin all-time history, we'll zoom out a bit, put it on log so it fits. So we are essentially saying the exact same thing here, right? It's just... So what I'm saying, to be clear, is we did 1 right trans, 2 right trans, 3 right trans, expected 4th cycle to left translate, but it hasn't. It's clearly right translated, meaning once we find the next 4-year cycle low, that will be 4 right trans in a row. And cycle theory says where left translation doesn't occur in cycle 4, it occurs in cycle 5. Ignore the numbers. Obviously, 3 mil, probably not. But the idea is you either get 3 rights and a left, or you get 4 rights and then a left. So this is my idea. This is my base case, that we're going to find a top in the not too distant future. Then we're going to target the 4-year cycle low. And then I expect left translation and an extended bear market decline. That's my analysis based on the rules of cycle theory. Now, Jordan just doesn't really acknowledge these 4-year cycle lows, and instead looks at monetary policy, Fed cycles, debt cycles, quantitative easing, all that kind of thing. And from his perspective, this 4-year cycle is essentially just driven by that monetary policy, boom bust, Fed liquidity cycles. And what he's saying, and he's right, is this entire cycle has occurred on overly restrictive policy, high interest rates, quantitative tightening, Fed balance sheet runoff. There's been stealth QEs along the way, right? BTFP, Operation Reverse Twist, hide the bailout on the FDIC balance sheet. How many others? lots of others that they're escaping my mind at the moment, right? But we've been tracking them the whole way. There's been loads of stealth QEs in here, but there's been no outright return to Fed balance sheet expansion and QE, and they can't even do that until interest rates are at or near zero. So instead of use timing cycles like this, which is what I do, where I don't need to know anything else, I just go how many days, how many months, right? Use the cycles on the smaller time frame to guide me into these larger time frame cycles. That's my strategy. Whereas Jordan looks at the monetary policy, like I said, and has drawn the conclusions that also, like I said, this is all QE and overly restrictive rates, and monetary policy doesn't align until we get to this kind of neighborhood here. And then, just like I'm calling for, we're going to see at or near zero rates. We're going to see whopping QE, what Jordan would term monetary policy aligning, right? A new Fed cycle. And that is what will drive this huge blow off top move, which in Jordan's words means we will see the peak for this cycle at or closer to the 2028 halving, right? That's his call, that the peak for this cycle will be close to the 2028 halving. That's the same as my call, right? I'm calling for a left translated cycle, big blow off top move. The only difference is because I'm a cycle trader, I'm splitting this into 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 cycles, right? This fifth one will left translate. Jordan is not acknowledging that. Instead, Jordan is looking at this whole move from here to here as one big cycle, because the cycles he uses, rather than timing cycles or camel cycles, right? The cycles he uses are Fed monetary policy, debt cycles, liquidity cycles. And since that's what he tracks, he's right. That is one big cycle. But just because I'm a timing cycle trader, I'm going to break this thing up and say there's a cycle low in here first and then a left translation. So hopefully you can see we're saying the exact same thing. It's just we're using different ways to get there. Stocks base case squiggle match. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, we could use that one. We'll see if it's right though, because if we just keep trending up forever, then nah. Crypto Cobra coming in with another $10. Thank you, brother. I'm not sure what I did to deserve this, but I appreciate it. Christian, I hope that's how you pronounce that. You just wanted to add for taxes and countries. Wait, let me move this over so I can read it. Why can't I read this comment? There you go. You just wanted to add for taxes and countries. Look at Croatia, 12% tax if you get from fiat to crypto, fiat in 2 years. More than that, you pay 0% tax. Wow. Okay. Noted. Thank you for that, and thank you for the $10. Excellent. Excellent stuff. Lambo looked too low for me. Crypto is most rational target. I don't know. What my view on Sol ETH treasuries? It's not something I'm tracking, to be honest. Lots of YouTubers saying cycles are over. Yeah, but to be honest, to be completely honest, and first of all, I think my brain is firing. My brain's firing too fast for my mouth. Right. The first thing we have to acknowledge is most people, when they talk about cycles, are just kind of looking at this, right? But they don't actually know what cycles are. They don't have a system based around cycles. They don't know the rules of cycles. I mean, I almost said his name. I don't want to put him on blast. But one of the biggest crypto YouTubers, you probably know who I'm talking about, was talking about how this cycle could still be left translated only a couple of months ago. In here, he was going, oh, maybe this is a left translated cycle, right? And he just thought that means it tops slightly before the 35-month time frame, right? This is what I mean. These people that are talking about cycles, they don't know the rules. They don't know the terminology. They literally can't even define very basic terms like left translated or right translated. So a lot of people, therefore, don't understand that this is a back-tested system, that it has probabilistic outcomes, right? We can say, depending on the asset class, 70 to 80% of the lows show up inside of the window, right? Where they don't show up, we know how to track them down, look for inversions. We know the excessive tolerances, right? There's a whole system designed around these cycles for people to navigate them. And the biggest problem we have, like I said, is most people, they just use the term cycle. And many people for a while were measuring these cycles from halving to halving, or from top to top, or from like bottom to halving. Like everyone was kind of making up their own cycles, and very few people understood that the correct application is to measure them from low to low. And very few people understand the fractalization, that each one of these lows is made up of a fractalization of weekly cycles, which again is made up of a fractalization of daily cycles, which is made up of a fractalization of 4-hour cycles, right? Like people just don't understand cycles because they're not cycle traders. They just kind of grab hold of charts and throw these terms around without fully understanding what they're talking about. And I can assure you, because this is my bread and butter, this is what I do, right? Back here, it was the same thing. People were talking about no more 4-year cycles, no more bear markets. I showed a tweet from Willy Woo right back here where once we got to here, he was posting a chart like this and said, that's probably the end of the 4-year cycle. It's going to do this, right? And it's nothing against Willy. It's just an idea, right? And, you know, people are now doing the same thing from here. They're going, oh, this is probably what comes next. But they were also doing it from here, right? In 2017. This is just people never learn because they don't understand the rules. So they just kind of see this and they go, oh, well, institutions are here. The narrative fits, like up only. BlackRock's never going to allow its clients to lose money. I mean, I see that all the time. And it's one of the funniest examples I know of because BlackRock has hundreds of ETFs that are down 95%. Right? Like literally anyone can go and look them up. That like it doesn't take very long to go and find a list of their ETFs and then look at the worst performers and see that many of them have drawn down 95%. So the idea that suddenly we're not going to allow these people to lose money because BlackRock cares about its clients. The only thing BlackRock cares about is accumulating all of the assets in the world using Aladdin. That's all it cares about, you know? So yeah, anyway, there's always going to be that idea. And particularly if we get a left translation next time, you better believe like people are going to be spewing super cycle narratives and all these. But this is just what people do. And again, it all comes down to them simply not knowing the rules. If you know the rules and can define the terms clearly, then you know it's absolutely absurd to say things like there won't be another 4-year cycle, right? Like it's just a very silly thing to say. And all it really does is show that you don't have a clue about cycle theory, which is fine. Right? Like not everyone needs to know it, not everyone needs to use it, but you just have to be careful because for people that understand cycles, then the only thing that's actually guaranteed is there will be a cycle low, right? Now, whether it's inside the window or outside the window is to be determined. Whether it's a timing-based low or a V-shaped recovery is to be determined, but there will be a resetting of the cycle because if there isn't, then what we're saying is up only forever, right? Now, which one of those do you want to bet on? like it's just silly. It's just silly. It's absolutely silly. So anyway, that's my little rant about cycles. There will always be people that tell you there's no more bear markets. There will always be people that tell you there's no more 4-year cycles, but it's the only thing that's cemented, right? Because it's hard coded into the universe. Like everything has cycles. There's the ebb and flow of the ocean. There's like biological cycles. There's all sorts, planetary, whatever, you know, like this is part of hard coded simulation type creation that we live in and that we experience. So it's not going away. Like I have got an ace up my sleeve about this low, which I'm not telling anyone, as I've said a bunch of times. I will tell people when it's time to tell them. But I'm going to let everyone else get this wrong. Or that's what I'm going to attempt to do. And then at the last minute, I'm gonna tell you. Well, I say the last minute, like once we're in the neighborhood where I can reveal this ace, I'm going to tell you the ace. But yeah, I'm not going to do it first. I'm not going to do it because I know people will take it. But yeah, I will let the Camel Crew know that there is something likely slightly weird about this low and how it will form. But anyway, can I look at Solana? Nah, bro. Working on a breakout, maybe. What's this saying? Low soon, maybe? Yeah, could be. You just watch this blue line here. Because so far, this is breakdown, retest, double retest, possible resumption. I'm not saying it will happen, but I'm just saying if that's going to happen, and it might, then it will break down from here. Okay, so here would be time to exit the market before really bad things happen, I think. Just something to watch for. And of course, invalidation is this, right? But at least you've got 2 scenarios there and you can monitor them one day at a time. 3 mil Bitcoin confirmed. Yep, I think I've fallen really far behind these. Somebody got me ranting, and now I'm far behind the comments. Yeah, universal truth. Everything is cycles. Yep. Is the cycle low in? You want to buy some crypto shares? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Why that low? What low? I don't know what you guys are talking about. No, there's no hate anywhere. Don't be gaslighting. Don't be gaslighting in my chat. Yeah, he tripled down on the left translation in April. Yeah. Like, how many months? Five, nearly 6 months after hard invalidation for left translation. But again, look, it's not his fault, right? It's not his fault. It's just people in finance, they throw around terms all the time. And a lot of terms that are used in finance have more than one meaning. Yeah. So it's like it's a deliberately confusing space, and people just think they can grab hold of these terms and throw them around. And for the most part, they can get away with it. But sometimes you just so happen to do that in front of a cycle trader that can be like, oh, wow, okay. Like, you stepped into my realm, and there's no way I can, there's no way you can convince me that this is still a left translated cycle, because I know the definition, right? I know how to define left translation. So it just is what it is, right? But it's not personal, it's business. It's business. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Okay, so is there anything else? Should we call this a day? How long have we been going for? 1 hour and 6 minutes. Also has a 10k target for the bottom of the bear market. Yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen people say this. I've never actually seen it from him. 10k is probably way too low. If it goes to 10k, it's going to take a decade to repair, and that's assuming the miners don't all die. But who knows? When did you officially invalidate left translated cycle? November. But Sean, if you have to ask that question, then again, I say this out of love and with all due respect, go and watch the tutorial, because it's a very, very, very easy concept to understand. So go and watch the cycle trading tutorial, understand the definition of left, mid, and right translated, and then you will easily be able to see when people start spewing stuff like left translated cycle in April. You'll be able to point at that and go, hang on a minute, that's not right. So hyped for the lows in 26. Yes, so am I. Honestly, so am I. I think if we can just do good this cycle and then reallocate at the next 4-year cycle lows, I think then, it's going to be unlike anything we've seen before, I think. I really do think that. The indicator and the member section are 2 different things. Fizzle. Fizzle. 2 different services, 2 completely different things. AI hacking narrative loading. Yeah, it could be. You've seen insane targets for gold lately. Well, people are catching on, right? People are catching on into what I believe is probably the final leg. And again, notice the pattern, right? It's just the same as saying cycles are never going to occur again, or no more bear markets for Bitcoin. If we cast our minds back to gold just a couple of years ago, no one cared. In here, it was literally a meme. People were like, boomer rock. People couldn't wait to say how it's never going to move. Then it broke out and people were mocking it. They were going like, oh, great. Like, you're up 18%. Like, congratulations. They just didn't care. And then by the time we got to here, there was this weird thing going on where every man and his dog was regurgitating the same idea on Twitter. This was the moment where all you would see every day is an entire Twitter feed with nobody. What was the quote? Everyone is quiet about gold. or something like that, right? Like everybody's sleeping on gold, everyone's quiet about gold, blah 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 blah. And I remember because let me go and find it. Gold weekly cycle low. Oh, weekly cycle high, actually. That's what I should have wrote. Weekly cycle high? Yeah, everyone is quiet about gold, right? Like, this is all you saw. I'm not picking on this person because it was the entire timeline. The entire Twitter feed was like, everyone's ghostly quiet about gold. And I was like, are you joking? Like, all I'm seeing is 100 tweets a day where everyone is saying everyone's quiet about gold, right into the yearly and weekly cycle high. And then, of course, what happens? We corrected. Camel Crew loads the boat here, as I showed you earlier on, in all the miners and everything else. Okay, and then we rip higher. Like, it's just standard market things. And now, only after we've done this huge parabolic blow off top move, okay, only as we're either topped or there's one final push. Ignore this. Let's hide this, actually. Hang on. So, only when we get here, where this is either the top and we're going to correct into the 4-year cycle low, or there's one final push and then we're going to have a whopping great correction into the 4-year cycle low. Only here does suddenly everyone have a base case of 10 to 15k an ounce. Right? Like, come on. How many people were calling 10, 15k an ounce here? No one. No one thought that was possible, right? Like, this is just how markets work. They mock it, they jeer at it, they don't care. Oh, it's a boomer rock. Oh, well, F you, I got Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin's going to demonetize gold. They only start chatting breeze when they get to the weekly cycle high, and then we have this big correction. I know it doesn't look like much, but for gold, it was a big move, right? Silver, miners, they all got slammed in here. I mean, you look at the higher beta moves. This is not nothing, right? You know, 24% for those. I think SilJ was significantly more than that. 35%. I mean, for the precious metal markets, that's big moves, right? It's big moves. And only there did people get bullish. Only after, I mean, really zoom out and think about this, right? All of this had occurred for gold. And then all of a sudden, right, it was only here that people want to start saying, oh yeah, I bought gold. Like, I made a good, gold's been a really good performer for me. I tried to tell people. Right? Like, and now, of course, we've got to here, like I said, and everyone's base case is suddenly 15k an ounce. And guess what's going to happen, right? One of two things. Either that was the top and now we're going to have a whopping great correction. Okay, so everyone calling 10 or 15k will bail out. Or, like I said, there's maybe one more squeeze here, whopping great correction, and again, everyone will be like, well, gold didn't do what it was supposed to do. It's supposed to be a risk-off asset, and it's lost 30 or 40% in 12 months, right? This is just how markets work, unfortunately. Like, there's no getting around it. I'll put my fractal back, please. There we go. Nope. Oh no, put my fractal back. Okay, good. Save. But yeah, those people will give up on their big gold targets. That 5-figure gold stuff people will give up on that into the 4-year cycle low. Just like they'll give up on Bitcoin never having a bear market or the 4-year cycle being dead. We bottom when MicroStrategy goes under. I hope it doesn't go under. I think it would be really bad for the space. And I also want to buy it out of the 4-year cycle low. Have I seen a house for an ounce of gold post on YouTube? No, I haven't, but that's not going to happen. I am nearly 100% sure that's not going to happen. Do you think oil price will first go down? Yes. Here's the yellow squiggle. Excuse me, for oil. Take this off log. Yeah, there you go. So the only deviation really was this happened because people started firing missiles at each other. So obviously we got a bit of panic. We got another fake breakout. And ultimately, we're probably still going to do the yellow squiggle. So yeah. And again, actually, I should say this. Out of this cycle low again, okay, I expect major overperformance, like huge trades out of this. So expect the Camel Crew to be long there. You were not joking about insane targets. Yeah, that is insane. That is insane. The only way I could see that happening is if most of the population is wiped out somehow. And then you end up with a situation of like all of these houses around the world and there's just no people here to buy them. So you just got insane amounts of oversupply. Like, that's the only way I could see that even being possible. Can we take a peek at beans and corn? Nah. Wheat. No. We'll worry about that. I got to go soon. We should probably go. I think we've been doing this too long. Did I get to see Oasis? No. No, I did not. Yeah, but the cycle was reset by the... I don't know what you mean. Oh, okay, you're talking to someone else. Camel, do you think that we will see another inversion for the weekly cycle low? I mean, that's what we have been seeing. So maybe we'll see it again. Don't know. We'll track it, right? We'll take it one day at a time, as always. 2028 being a horrible year for humanity. Yeah, I think so. Deflation, right? Deflation is going to be nasty. And massive gross deleveraging. Physical oil. No, don't know what that is, Bull Bear. How's the wife doing, bro? Thank you for asking. She's doing fine. Yeah, she's doing fine. Still no baby. But I think it can only be another 9 days because they only let you go 2 weeks overdue as a maximum, and then they induce you, I think. So we're 9 days out at the most, possibly less than that. Camel, what would be the percent drawdown in the next bear market if we don't get a recession? I see. Do you mean for Bitcoin or for the stocks? I would suggest probably like 40 or 50%. But I don't know, man. It just feels to me, because people, again, look at these bear markets, right? They go all the way back and they go, oh, the first bear market was 90% or 95%. And this one was 87%, right? And then this one was 75% or 70, whatever the number was. So they just go here and they go, well, it only makes sense. This one will be less again. But that's not really enough for me to say, yeah, we can expect less than 70%. You know, if things get really, really bad, then it could be 85, 90. I mean, it's still Bitcoin, right? It's still like the king of volatility. So I don't think we should worry about it too much. I think the time is more important, right? Use the 4-year cycles and the weekly cycles. That's what's important. But also, I don't see any signs that we're not heading for a recession. It just seems like more and more likely that we're going to be in a recession pretty soon, like this year or by next year for certain. Give you a live rendition of the song. No, I'm okay, bro. How's Winston? He's good, thank you. Yeah, he's good. Is there a baby indicator? No, I don't know. Where do I see Riot pulling back to? Don't know, mate. Don't know. How could I know? All right, I think we'll end it here. But I will say this: thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. I really do. I hope you found some value here, even if it was only entertainment. I hope you consider, if you couldn't answer the questions or don't know how to define left translation, watching the tutorial playlist or grabbing hold of some of the content that I've worked tirelessly to put out there to make cycle trading available to everyone. Other than that, yeah, as Crypto Cobra says, please do smash the like button, hit subscribe if you're not already, and yeah, if you came in late, go back and watch the rest of it, because I can see a lot of people asking questions that we've already answered. So if you just showed up a bit late, go back and check it out. And other than that, what day is it today? Is it Friday today? Damn. Okay, it's Friday. So have a lovely weekend, I guess. And we'll be back tomorrow with the weekend's deep dive. We'll check in there and see what's going on. If you're a level 3 member, then expect a members video as always. And other than that, thank you for all the kind words. Thank you for being here. I love you all. See you.